Lesson 5 builds upon Lesson 4, so I went ahead and put a link down below. I also put links to Lessons 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to utilize this chart here to represent all of the green painted states. I pulled this one specifically from Montgomery County, Ohio. I believe it was dated 2022. And the main rule of thumb to follow in the green states is that if it's a 4-lane road, if you're on the approach, it doesn't matter if it's a divided highway or not, you do not have to stop. So go ahead and pause it, take a second to study it. And just to point this out here, they don't consider the center turn lane as an actual travel lane, so this would still be viewed as a 3-lane road, even though you see 4 independent sizings of where a vehicle could be. Here on the map, you can see all the green states. We just went over their chart on when you need to stop. I did my best to read through these laws and also look at their independent graphs, but we have Illinois, Kentucky, Ohio, South Carolina. This tiny one over here is Delaware, but what you don't see on the West Coast is California and Washington State. Those would be green if they were on this map as well. I went ahead and I pulled this chart from Maryland. And I used this to depict all of the requirements for all of the yellow colored states, or all the states that I've colored yellow. Go ahead and pause it, study it if you need to. I tried to go over and look through each state's own independent charts, but the main difference here, why I've categorized this as yellow, is because you have to stop for a school bus no matter what the road looks like, with the exception of a median or a barrier in place. I do not like this because I believe it puts vulnerabilities into place. I've heard people say they've designed roads, but they didn't have money to allocate for the median or barrier. It was a cheaper way to do it, so they left it out. And sometimes these intersections are 6, 7, 8 lanes wide. And like, again, that's nuts to have somebody look through that to try to stop. And on the map here, you can see the yellow states. Pause it if you need to. North Carolina has a different stopping requirement than the other states. It is set up the exact same as all the yellow states with one exception, and that is on a 4-lane road with a center turn lane, you are not required to stop on the approach of the bus. I went ahead and used the color orange to identify that state. It is, however, set up the same as Louisiana, but the map I've selected doesn't go west of the Mississippi. Now, this could draw some confusions. For example, if you're in North Carolina and you drive north to Virginia, you could get mixed up in this configuration here, where you think it's safe to go, but according to Virginia rule or any of the other yellow states, you're required to stop. However, if you're in South Carolina, traveling up to North Carolina, the bottom left configuration might mix you up. And as you can see, there is only one orange state on this map. But if we went west of the Mississippi, we would hit Louisiana right here. And again, you can see how it could be confusing if you're driving either into any of the yellow states, or if you're down here in South Carolina having to drive north or south. This graphic depicts New York State's requirements on when to stop for a school bus. It is the only state I've painted red. I painted it red because, in my opinion, it's the most critical. I think it was reckless to pass any sort of legislation for safety without first correcting this. It does. Go ahead and pause it and study it if you need to. The basic criteria is that it doesn't matter what the road design looked like. It could be 10 lanes wide. It could have divides with low-lying barriers. It doesn't matter. You're required to stop for a school bus no matter what. It is, like, again, the most reckless in terms of safety for lines of sight of approaching vehicles. Other than putting up signage or clearing away shrubbery, there's nothing an engineer can do to design or improve this law with how this road with how the law is written to improve the safety to allow any sort of vehicle to flow freely. And last we have the red state of New York. Again, it's red because it's the most critical, because in my opinion it's the most reckless to have to require somebody to stop for a school bus without regard to the design of the road. Just to stop. Again, one signal road, multi-lanes. The most dangerous in my opinion in terms of line of sight. Just as bad as having a 100-foot amber light notice requirement.